Hey everybody, we are back. This is the Pylon, an NFC North podcast. Now it's been a couple weeks since we've been on after all the craziness of the NFL draft. We've cooled down a little bit, but the NFL had something to throw at us recently. But before we get into that, let's go around the horn and see everybody else. So I'm Big Z representing the Detroit Lions. Then we got Kinger with the Packers.
Yo, happy to be back in the building.
Then we got Barney with the Bears.
What's going on, everybody?
And then last but not least, Remy, the Vikings.
Skull to the bull, purple rain in control.
All right, gentlemen. So, I mean, the NFL just came out with their 2020 schedule. They're planning to go forward as planned currently. Shit can go off the walls or hit the fan at any second in regards to this scheduling. But there's something I want to mention at the top. So, there is this NFL's flexibility. So what happens if the season doesn't start on time, but the season's delayed? The early weeks could occur after week 17. So the week 1 and week 2 games could become week 18 and week 19, essentially. Super Bowl 40 or 55 is scheduled for February 7th currently, but it could be pushed back by several weeks even. So we could get one in mid-March. Any week could serve as an opening week. So week 5 could be opening week. They just keep pushing those first few weeks back to the end. And then last but not least, every team shares the same bye week as their week 2 opponent. That's how they have it scheduled out this year. So they can still factor that in. Barney, let's go to you first, man. What do you think of that type of flexibility? Is that the most reasonable thing? Are you looking forward to seeing some football in late March, possibly?
Yeah, that'd be a little bit different, right? Yeah, I mean, that kind of seems pretty logical. Just kind of keep a rolling schedule, right? I mean, if you miss it, just tack it on for the next week, or I'm sorry, for like week 18 or what would be 18. Yeah, I mean, I would really be devastated not to open up with an easy W in Detroit, but if that's how it's got to go, then I'm all for it.
How about you, Kinger? Are you looking forward to I would love actually playing in Lambeau with no fans, and only have to hear that stupid "Go Pack Go" thing.
Hey, there's nothing better than the "Go Pack Go" chant. But yeah, I mean, like Barney said, to echo his comments, I mean, I'm happy that they at least put in some sort of contingency plan and had some sort of plan in action in case there was a delay with the start of the season. I saw some reports the other night. I think they were originally talking about they were going to have all the teams play the outer division opponents, the AFC playing the NFC playing the AFC the first 4 weeks of the season. So they were originally talking about if they could cancel that so it'd be easy, still get all the divisional games. It seems like this strategy they put in place actually is better, makes more sense, allows some more flexibility. So saw a couple different things being thrown around. This is the route they decided to go with, and I'm excited about it. Hopefully we don't have any delays, but they have contingency plans in place in case there are.
It gives Jordan Love a little more time to prep for the season, right?
Absolutely. He's gonna need a lot of time, it seems like.
And how about you, Remy, man? Is the only sound in the stands gonna be they got "Go Pack Go," but you have that stupid ass horn too that goes on in that stadium on third down.
The Galler horn, the infamous Galler horn, and don't forget the start of every fourth quarter we have the Skull chant. It seems to bother Aaron Rodgers when he comes to town a lot, but no, I like that they have a plan in place. But I believe it'll start right on time. We got Green Bay week 1, and that is a home game. We will be ready. As for the fans, I hope there's fans. I plan on going to the game, but it's a disadvantage if there's no fans for us because we are loud and we are rowdy.
Yeah, I mean, that's something for sure. So what – I mean, we'll get into that in a moment, but I guess the kind of a question to build off that is, like, what happens if early in the season fans aren't allowed but later in they are? So let's say the Vikings have a home game, but they don't have fans, but then they go to Green Bay late in the season or something like that, and they have fans. That seems kind of unfair, no?
Very unfair, and we'll put an asterisk next to that game depending the outcome.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. You can't be so quick to throw out asterisks there, Remy. Come on now. But no, that's a great point, Big Z. I mean, I actually hadn't even thought about that, but I think it really is going to come down to depending on, state by state case. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but ultimately I think the league probably would unify it. I don't know that they would allow, fans in some stadiums versus others, but that's definitely an interesting question and something I hadn't even thought to consider.
Barney, will the Bears actually play better that there's nobody booing their quarterback by halftime?
Oh man, you're good. You're good. Well, yeah, I mean, we do get a little judgmental with our guys here, even with our kickers. But if we get let back in the stadium for the last half of the season, I think that's when we face all three of you guys at home. So I would be all for that.
It's just funny because Bears fans, even when they're winning at halftime, still like to boo their team sometimes. Is that just me? Or, I mean, you could tell me if I'm wrong, but that just seems to be my observation.
Yeah, we don't accept mediocrity. We expect nothing but the best, and we're going to let our guys know that if they're not playing to the fans' level of expectations.
Fair enough. There's one more thing I wanted to get into really quick, just a really quick thing before we get into the, breaking down the schedule and things like that. There was something out today that said, the NFL can potentially lose because of nobody in the stands and ticket revenue and the things that come along with that, like food sales. And the NFL weekly could lose about $120 to $200 million a week in revenue. So to try to make up for that as much as possible, they're considering putting logos on the jerseys, which would be the first time in NFL history that would ever happen. And so, first, let's go around the horn. Do you think that's a good idea to try to make up for revenue in the short term?
I was against it.
Wait, let me flesh out the question, I guess. First of all, are you for it as a one-year thing, or do you see them doing it this year and then possibly it being a long-term thing, which I think would be an issue?
Yeah, I'm just going to relay back to this. When the NBA started and decided they were going to do this, I was extremely against the idea. And essentially, I just don't want the logos to be covering the jerseys, right? I do like to see the traditional team logos. When the NBA ones came out and you got a patch in the corner, if the NFL were to do something like that, sure, right? They need the revenue to keep and maintain the same quality, in expectation that they've given to the fans. I mean, I see Barney shaking his head over there, right? But ultimately, to keep it at the same level and provide the same performance and show that they do on a week-to-week basis, the revenue is important. Long term, I'm okay with it as long as it doesn't end up, overtaking the whole jersey. At least that's my thoughts on it.
What do you think though, Barney? Logo good or bad?
Yeah, as long as it's not like European soccer, right? I mean, like Hinger said,
exactly.
as long as it's something small, a decal like the NBA does, then I don't really see a problem. But I see this as quite the Trojan horse for Goodell to find a way to, make a lot more money, years to come.
So Remy, if the Vikings got a logo on their jersey, who would be the sponsor? Do you think?
That is a very good question. It could be U.S. Bank, just because of our stadium.
Yeah.
It could be Target for all we know, because Target headquarters are up there. But I don't think it's a big issue. Like you guys said, a little small patch in the corner. That's all I think they do. They don't do anything crazy, and they just got to do what they got to do to make their revenue back.
Yeah, really quickly, Barney, who would the Bears sponsor be?
I have no clue.
Miller Lite?
I'd be down with some Miller Lite.
No, I think Miller Lite would be the official. I think the Miller Lite would be the official sponsor of the Green Bay Packers. That is a very prevalent drink up there in Green Bay, let me tell you.
Fair enough. I think the Lions would have Ford on their jersey. They're owned by the Fords. It's Ford Stadium. It seems natural fit. The jersey's already blue.
That's quite the guess there, Big Z.
All right, so gentlemen, let's get into this 2020 schedule, shall we? And let's go around and give our three favorite games that we see on our schedule. I think that's the most fair way to do this without spending, going game by game and things of that nature. And then we might talk about, a game that we might go see on the road, and then we'll finish that up with, kind of talking about the strength of our schedules and then giving a prediction, a way too early prediction. But let's go with you, Barney, first. I want to get your 3 favorite games that you see on the schedule. The Bears, of course, getting way too many primetime games as usual, but I want to see what you think.
Right. So I think our schedule is laid out, the way it was laid out really picked what games I am most looking forward to. It's been a long time since we've watched some football, and I think we all can agree that week 1 is probably just a game that we are all excited for, especially with this summer of no sports so far. So, after we come in and just absolutely curb stomp the Lions week 1, that will probably be my favorite game of the year so far. But my next game, I would say, has to be either New Orleans or Tennessee. I'll say New Orleans in week 8 just because, that's just a really tough team, a team that's going to go deep in the playoffs. And
that's in Chicago, right?
Yes, that is. They don't always play well up in bear weather, but obviously, I don't really have much faith in our offense here. So it'll just be a good test to see where we're at. Because in the beginning of the season, it's not too crazy. We have Detroit, we have New York Giants, we have Carolina Panthers, we have the Rams, who I don't think are going to be a really good team. So by week 8, we'll have a really, really good team, and we'll see, where we stand there. But last, I'd probably say week 17, just because it's the end of the year, and hopefully it's a meaningful game. But we have Green Bay in Chicago, so I have week 1, week 8 right in the middle, and then week 17 at the end.
Yeah, and that New Orleans one, that's a rematch from last year, right? Didn't the Bears have like 2 onside kicks and have like a mini comeback at the end of the game?
Yeah, but we lost to Teddy Bridgewater, so not necessarily a game that that I was too thrilled with. I think the Bears are going to be very much like last year, although I think our defense will improve a lot. But I see just stale offensive game after game after game. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Man, I mean, I'll transition this over to Kinger just because he might have the same game, at least that Week 17 one in Chicago. Kinger, man, what are your 3 top games that you like the most after seeing this full schedule release?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously the Week 17 in Chicago is probably the game that pops off, the screen almost instantly. Packers fans have great memories of Week 17 at Soldier Field. Hoping it's meaningful, like Barney said, and it comes down to being something that hopefully both Packers are already in the playoffs, or they got to win to get in the playoffs. But we want it obviously to be something of importance. But honestly, the Packers have, in my opinion, a pretty brutal schedule this year, at least on the road, facing pretty much all of our toughest opponents on the road. Not to just copy, and mimic off what Barney said, but you got week 3 or week 3 or 4 in New Orleans, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, and then followed up a few weeks later, Tampa Bay in down in Florida as well, Rodgers, Brady. But the one game that I'd say I am looking forward to that is, probably not popping off the screen again is the, most important or one that everybody's looking forward to. But I am looking forward to getting the best home game for me is seeing Philly come to Green Bay again in December. They got us at home last year. That was a game that I thought we should have won, had a good run late. But, a lot of the big marquee matchups for Green Bay this year are on the road, and to get one in Lambeau like that outside the division, that's one I'm definitely looking forward to.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's funny. The Lions and Packers have played each other in Week 17 the past 5 years, and this would be the first time in a while that they haven't. So that'll be interesting to see them kind of switch it up.
Yeah, I actually didn't know it was the last 5 years. I knew it was obviously the last couple, but that's interesting. That's a new stat to me.
Yeah. So how about you, Remy? What are you looking at on the schedule there with the Vikings? A lot of these games, at least between the Bears, Packers, and Vikings, you guys all have face each other in prime time. My team doesn't, but let's go to you, Remy, man.
Minnesota, surprisingly, which is good for us. We only have 2 primetime games, which I'm okay with. Let us creep in and sneak. Don't need the spotlight on Kirk. You all know that stat, and I don't want to hear it. So anyway, The most important game, the three most important games. I'm going to start number 1, week 1 against Green Bay at home. The first time in Vikings history we have opened up at home week 1 against the Packers.
That's wild.
It's insane. You lose this game and Viking fans go nuts and our season basically ends. So it's a must-win game for Minnesota.
Week 1, end the season, huh?
Yes. So the second most important game for Minnesota will be week 5 against the Seattle Seahawks. We play these douchebags every year and cannot pull out a win. We cannot pull out a win, and we're always in Seattle. It does not make sense. So we need to go there and pull out a W there. And also, the third most important game will be when we play the Panthers at home and Teddy Bridgewater comes to play his former team. I think he gets standing ovation. He gets the Teddy chance. I'm excited for that one. Might be a game I attend because I'm a big Bridgewater fan. I'd like to see him do well, but those are the three that stick out for me as most important.
Interesting. Yeah. The Seattle one, they always play really close games, though, right? They just never could pull it out.
Exactly, yeah. Last year, I believe we lost like 30-38. The year before, it was like a touchdown or 10 points maybe. And then obviously in 2015, Teddy, being our quarterback, leads them down the field in the wild card, only to lose by the Blair Walsh miss in negative 26-degree weather. That was a cold one.
Oh, yeah, that's a classic right there for sure. So there are already week 1 lines out, if you guys are not familiar. Of course they're out, right? These betting sites got to get money somehow right now. So the Vikings are 3-point favorites right now at home against Green Bay. That's an over-under 46.5. And then the Lions, 1.5-point favorites at home against the Bears. So I can only see that number going up as more people see what the Lions are all about this season. And leading into that, I'm going to go into my three most important games for the Lions here. So when I love it that we are at home against the Bears week 1. Love this. The Lions haven't played the Bears week 1 since, I believe, 2009. Barney, do you remember that game? What happened in 2009?
No. Was that Megatron's game?
That's right. The Lions got ripped off, and it started this whole is it a catch, is it not thing for a couple of years. Then they changed the rule, and it's gone back and forth. But it really started there when Megatron in the end zone caught a game-winning touchdown late in the game, and then they inexplicably overturned it. So this is. I love getting off the Chennai right away against a divisional opponent at home to start this new season. And then I'm going to follow that up with Green Bay week 2 in Green Bay. The Lions could start this off 2-0 and get in first place right away in the division just from the tiebreaker and stuff. They would have first place if they won these first two. And I like the fact that the Lions have a lot of camaraderie. I really like that start. Playing Green Bay early in the season, I really like that aspect. And then the last one, I'm going to go Minnesota at Minnesota on November 8th. If the Lions can win at Minnesota, which they struggle tremendously. The only time in my recent memory, without looking it up, the last time they won there was when they had like a crazy 56-yard field goal as time expired to go to overtime, and then they won. I think Golden Tate did a flip in the end zone to win it, but
he did a spinning heel kick on my boy.
Yeah.
Andrew Sandejo.
So, I mean, these are all divisional games. The Lions have to win their divisional games. Their non-conference isn't necessarily as tough as it has been in years past. I mean, they play New Orleans like all you guys, and they play Tampa Bay in Week 16. But those three division ones are just huge. And the fact that they have 2 right off the bat is mightily important. That's why I think it could determine the rest of the season if they don't win those 2, or at least split. But those are our 3 most important games, and now we wanted to get it. And this is where it gets a little fun. It's always fun to think about going to see a game on the road. It's kind of hard to pull off just because hotels and getting there, possible flight. It's all messed up. But So let's start with you, Kinger, man. If you're going to go see the Packers on the road one time this year, where is it at, man?
Well, I mean, there are a lot of better games than or the big games, realistically, destination-wise. I don't know if I can swing, but I'm definitely going to make an effort to go see Green Bay play in Indianapolis this year. Just a quick, short 3 hours from Chicago. Have a lot of ties to Indianapolis personally, but Lucas Oil is a venue that I've been in multiple times. It's a great place to watch a football game. The Colts should be on a bounce back year. Phil Rivers, Aaron Rodgers, in the dome. So that's definitely a game that I'm looking forward to. One that should be a pretty good challenge for Green Bay as well, because like I said, I expect Indianapolis to have a bounce back year and be better again, or be better than they were last year. So. Already looking at tickets, going to buy a group with some buddies, and so that's already on the schedule, and one I'm definitely looking forward to later this year.
Has anybody else been to Lucas Oil? I have not personally.
No, I have never been.
You said you've been there, Kinger. I did hear it's a really nice stadium.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Been there a handful of times. Huge, clean. Indianapolis is a fun city. Everything's close walking to, great bar scene. So it's definitely a neat little area and a good place to go watch a football game. People in Indianapolis are passionate about football, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that looks like it's a week 11 game. So on November 22nd, if you're a Packers fan listening, that is the date and time, and it's a noon game. So
just before Thanksgiving.
Yep. So Remy, let's go to you, man. If you're traveling to one place, and it's not, in the division, preferably for your answer here, where are you traveling to see a game?
We're packing up the sled on Christmas Day, and we're going to New Orleans, baby. That's a Friday game, and I don't know how many times we have to tell this old man, Drew Brees, you can come play us, but you ain't going to beat us. They keep throwing him on the schedule, and how many times do we got to tell you, old man? Don't do it. You're not going to beat us. Whether it's the miracle or a Kyle Rudolph non-push-off touchdown, don't do it to yourself, Saints fans, and I'm sorry we have to ruin your Christmas. I could make so many jokes with Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, the red zone reindeer, but no, if I had to pick a game, I'm going to definitely be New Orleans. Christmas Day, 3:30 p.m. on a Friday.
All right, I like that one. Has anybody been to New Orleans? I'll probably follow this up with each one. I have not, but I've heard it's just a wild time. Barney, you've been, man?
Yeah, I was down there for a college wrestling tournament, and it just so happened to be the same weekend as the bowl season, and it was like Louisiana Lafayette versus like Louisiana Tech. So all of Louisiana was there, and it was just an absolute scene. It was an absolute blast.
Did you get to go out at all on what's the street?
Bourbon Street.
Blank. That boy, yeah.
Yeah. It was Madhouse. It was like Chicago's St. Patty's Day parade. There were only cops on horses, and they couldn't do anything. We saw a couple people slap the horses on their ass and then get arrested, but it was pretty funny. But it was awesome.
Kinger, have you been there?
No, never been to New Orleans, but Bourbon Street on Christmas, that sounds like a scene. Sounds real festive if you ask me.
Oh yeah, man, that would be a wild one. And a Friday game, that's weird. That's really strange. I did not realize that they had a Friday game on the schedule this year. That's they're going to
be competing against the NBA. That's going to be interesting. See, I don't know have we had football on Christmas Day before like this? I know we've had Christmas Eve. Well, I guess we have had on.
They've had it on Christmas Day, but not like when it's out of the way like this on a Friday. Usually, if it falls on Sunday or Monday or Saturday, like that they do.
Yeah.
Even Saturday, but not a Friday. That's kind of a bizarre.
I believe the last time we played on a Friday game was in 2006 against the Green Bay Packers on Christmas Eve, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the Bears played on Christmas or Christmas Eve a few years ago. It wasn't that long, but this is the only there's a game on Friday and then the rest are on Sunday this week. So I don't know what the deal with that scheduling. Very interesting. But Barney, man, where are you going to be? Or wait, Barney, yeah, where are you going to go, man, for the Bears road game?
Yeah, I think the way the season played out. I already booked my flights here. I'm going to Nashville in week 9. It's going to be the first week in November. It's going to be just when it starts to cool down. It's not going to be hot as hell down there. And, right now we got a group of like 20 of us. I've been hearing some of my other buddies from high school and whatnot that are taking a crew down there. So, last time the Bears were in Tennessee, my parents were at this game. The following Monday, the front page of the Tennessee Gazette, or the newspaper down there, was Bears drink Nashville dry. They all, like, every single bar had run out of alcohol. There was 0 alcohol left in the whole city. So, I plan on, to make my parents proud and trying to get as drunk as everybody else down there.
People from Chicago love traveling down there. It is a really good time down in Nashville. I was down there for a Blackhawks game one time, and there was way more Blackhawks than Predators fans. But man, Nashville is really fun, man. Just a great bar scene down there.
Oh, I totally agree. And that Nashville stadium is, it's right next door to, I think, the Honky Tonk or whatever. So you're right on the strip.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Remy or Kinger, have you guys been to Nashville?
Yeah, Nashville's great, man. Like you said, everything is so close, condensed. That strip of bars right there, they got something for everybody. So close to the football stadium. You got a group of people down there. That's going to be a great weekend. You really can't go wrong. And I know, Barney, I think there's special hotel, bottomless drink specials down there from what I've heard. It can be a little reckless at times. So you might have to go on the hunt for that potentially.
Yeah. Just a little tip for everybody so that you can't say you didn't get anything out of these podcasts. If you show up to the Embassy Suites Hotel, it's about 2 blocks off the strip. From 5 to 7, they have a happy hour, all you can drink for free. So go around, bebop around the day, grab a drink here, grab a drink there, maybe some lunch, but then you just pack it all in for free at the Embassy Suites and just order about 15 Long Island iced teas and have the rest of your night go.
Jesus Christ. Oh, man.
It's a tip for the people. Great tip, Barney.
Well, if someone's joining Barney down there, that game is November 8th. It's a Sunday, and that game's at noon as well down in Tennessee. That sounds like a great time. Well, I was going to potentially say Tennessee as well in late December for the Lions. They visit there as well, December 20th. But for the sake of argument, the other one I was going in between this or Arizona in week 3. The Lions play in Arizona almost every year because they constantly finish in the same it's like last place of this division versus this last place division. Yeah. So they've ended up playing each other a lot in recent years. So going down to Arizona, right there in Scottsdale area. I know they're in Glendale, but Scottsdale is not a far drive from there. That's a good time as well. I was down there earlier this year for a bachelor party, so I got a taste of what that area is like. Really fun, good weather. In early September or late September, so that's where I'll be venturing. That's week 3, September 27th, and I think I could get decent ticket prices there as well, which is another big plus. When you go travel to some of these stadiums, it's you don't know what you're getting with the ticket prices.
That Arizona stadium has always baffled me, man. That's the one that's got it can roll out the stadium for indoor outdoor, some crazy contraption or something like that. Yeah, it's always baffled me.
Yeah. All right, so those are some of the away games that we're looking forward to hopefully traveling to. But now let's move on to strength of schedule. So this is the rankings of strength of schedule within our NFC North at least. So the Lions have the toughest schedule, and this is per CBS Sports. They have tied for the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL. Then it's followed by the Vikings, who are tied for the 10th hardest schedule in the NFL. Then the Bears are 13th, and then the Packers 15th. So you three are all jumbled right in the middle there. Lions a little higher, but overall, pretty fair, but pretty tough schedule. Like you said, Kinger. Are you worried about the Packers going around on the road for a lot of these big games, especially against the better opponents?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what the 15th to me is low, because I don't think you can find a harder road schedule in the NFL this year, right? I mean, we already mentioned, obviously we have the divisional games, but to have to go to New Orleans, Tampa Bay, San Francisco, which, as we know, we've had a ton of success out there in Levi's Stadium the last few years, Indianapolis, and that's a tough 5-game stretch right there. And quite honestly, it's not something I'm looking forward to. If we can go 500 or a game above in those games, that's going to be excellent. But overall, like how things turned up, we have a road heavy schedule early in the year, which is opposite of last year. I like the fact that a lot of teams are going to have to come to Green Bay later in the year when it's cold, so we can play our style of football up there. So ultimately, I'm excited about it. I'm definitely nervous. Are we going to digress or regress from last year? I don't know. But those road games definitely are going to be a challenge. We're going to have to make sure we take care of business at home this year.
Yeah, Remy, I mean, what do you think about the strength of schedule this year? I'm just looking at it. You have a lot of road games early in the season, but then, there's a stretch in November and early December there. You got 3 straight home games, man. So I just want to get your thoughts on, overall, what your thoughts are on the schedule and, if it's fair and things of that nature.
Yeah, no, I'm loving our schedule. The only thing I don't like is our bye week is early. It's week 7. I can't complain, though, with our schedule. You start off with Green Bay, and then you go to the Colts early week 2, and, they're still trying to figure out maybe gel. But I'm looking at the towards the end of the season with, like you said, those November games, 3 straight home games, and then you got one game. You travel to Tampa Bay in December, which is nice weather. You got the Bears at home inside, and then you're in the dome against the Saints on the road, and then in a dome against the Lions. So we're not playing too tough of games outdoors late in the season, which should maybe hopefully have some comfort for Kirk Cousins and the rest of the team, really. So. I'm loving our schedule. You gotta win the games you're supposed to win, and let's go win this division.
It's funny you mentioned the bye week though. Kinger, you and my team, the Lions, both have week 5 byes. That's rough. Barney, the Bears get away with it, man. They got a week 11 bye, which is a lot. Teams prefer usually that later one.
Yeah, I think the last couple of years we were up towards the front like you guys, so it's kind of nice to see a little bit later in the season this time.
Yeah, so I mean, Barney, what do you think about the Bears' overall schedule? Is it fair? What do you like and don't like about it? Is there a stretch of home games or something that you like? Or
it's actually it's pretty even in terms of away games. In the first half and the back half, we got 4 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, when we look at all of our games here, Green Bay, there's only 2 games that are pretty much different, right? I mean, Green Bay's got San Fran and Philly. We have the Rams and the Giants. Minnesota's got Seattle and Dallas, and Detroit's got Arizona and Washington. And I think it says a lot that a team can have Arizona and Washington and still have the toughest schedule in our division because, they got to face all of us. But I'm pretty happy with the way ours fell because I think kind of like the Bears, I think the Rams are, they could be good, but I don't have a lot of faith in them kind of team. And then the Giants, hopefully, hopefully we can give a second year Daniel Jones some fits on the defensive side here. But as far as the Bears schedule goes, I kind of like it. We face all you guys at home in the back half, like I mentioned earlier. We got Houston at home. We go down and play Jacksonville. So at Jacksonville, I think they're going to be one of the, bottom tier teams in the league. So, if we can, the first 5 or 6 weeks, if we can come out with an even record or whatnot, I think it will be a decent start to the season that can hopefully pay dividends later in the year.
Yeah, for sure. And you guys have Tom Brady on Thursday night in Chicago too.
Yeah,
early in the season.
Yeah, pretty pumped about that. That should be. I might. Hopefully we can go to these games because it'd just be fun to see Tom Brady in in Chicago repping a different jersey than the Patriots.
Those tickets are going to be ridiculously high.
Oh yeah, I'll scalp. I'm not buying before.
It's going to be minimum like $250 to get in that game, no matter where you're sitting, I feel.
I'll find a way.
Yeah, man, I would agree a lot with your sentiment, though, at least looking at it, you know. And then the Monday night against the Rams. The one issue I always have, no matter how bad the Bears are, they always get these, you know, multiple primetime games, and it makes me mad as a Lions fan because we don't get it. We have no primetime games this year, and we were just as bad as you, in my opinion. We didn't make the playoffs. I know they have the bigger market. I know that's why they do it, but I just hate when the Bears, no matter how bad they are, they get all these primetime games. It irks me as a Lions fan.
I mean, I don't even like primetime games all that much because I'd rather us play at noon, you know, and watch my team while the bulk of the teams are playing, and then hopefully there's just a good, you know, game on later because I'm always going to watch that Sunday night game. So yeah. I kind of prefer us not to have primetime games because I think we're kind of like Minnesota here, where we don't really shine the brightest during those games. So, you know.
You mean Kirk Cousins? Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, right. No, but, you know, again, I think we have, 4 or 5 games. You know, if they're going off of our 2019 team, it's purely market-based. But I don't know. Maybe they think we underachieved because of Akeem Hicks going down so early, and hopefully maybe we're a better team this year, and that's what they're pumping us up for.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. All right, so I'm just going to get into the Lions really quick here. Just some things I find interesting about their schedule. 4 of the first 6 games of the season are on the road. That's a lot right off the bat. I know they open up with Chicago, and then they have New Orleans at home, but the rest are on the road: Green Bay, Arizona, Jacksonville, Atlanta. But then luckily 4 of the final 6 are at home at the end of the season, and that's where the Lions are going to make their run to win the division all the way to the Super Bowl. But the Lions have never won the division. I feel really good about it this year, of course. I know you guys are smiling at me, but, you know, I really like their odds, to be honest. And I like this schedule a lot. I like Houston Texans on Thanksgiving. Do you guys all watch the Lions on Thanksgiving as well?
Yeah. Usually in the last couple of years, it's been Chase Daniels carving them up, but yeah.
Yeah, can't skip out on any football on Thanksgiving, no matter who's playing.
Yeah, I watch on Thanksgiving strictly for fantasy purposes.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's the one thing that the Lions fans have is that Thanksgiving game. So that's always the most interesting one that we draw is who the opponent is. Barney, do you got something else to throw in there?
Yeah, I would have to agree. I hope Detroit Lions are always on Thanksgiving. Because, you know, if we all kind of hop into how we're feeling that day, we just had 3 or 4 helpings of, you know, stuffing or turkey and all that stuff. And you're on the couch and you're just fighting your eyelids to just stay open because you've just pounded so much beer and food. And then you see the Lions and it's like, you know what? Let's take a nap anyway.
Yeah, I knew you were going to have something stupid to say, but we let you talk anyways. We were respectful at least.
I appreciate that.
Oh, man. Yeah, so, I mean, the Lions end the season against Tampa Bay and Minnesota at home, so that'll be a fascinating end of the season if they are still in it. And don't forget, the playoffs have been expanded to 14 teams now, so there's a very good chance that, you know, these games at the end of the season are a lot more meaningful than it could perhaps have been in the years past. So those, you know, very interesting, those late season games and what's happening. And Green Bay at home late in the season as well, the Lions have. So I like the way that – I know that their schedule says it's tough, but I don't think it's as tough as it looks. But, you know, that's my opinion. So what we're going to do to wrap up this podcast, gentlemen and listeners, is that we are going to go around really quick and give our way too early predictions for the regular season record of our teams. I can't wait to hear these. But let's start with you, Remy, first, man. Actually, we'll start with the division winners. Kinger, you guys won the division last year. Do you have the Packers repeating as division champs?
I do have the Packers repeating as division champs. People say we didn't really get better in the offseason with our acquisitions and our draft, but you're still looking at a team who was in the NFC Championship last year with minimal losses. Some losses, but nothing extreme. So I believe that the Packers do repeat as division champions again. I do think they regress slightly. I'm going to put their record at 11-5 this year, with losses coming Week 3 in New Orleans, at San Francisco, the Colts. I'm gonna take, those road games, man. Those four. I like the 11-5 regression. I'm not gonna make any more picks than that. I do think off the initial losing in New Orleans, losing in San Francisco again, and losing in Indianapolis on the road are all realistic. That would mean they've got to win a majority of their games at home. That's my initial thought. It's going to be a tough road ahead, but I still expect Green Bay to have a successful season.
All right. Let's go with second place in division last year then. Remy, what are the Vikings going to do this year, man?
Minnesota is going to finish 11-5 and win the division. Followed by Green Bay at 10-6 and Detroit actually at 10-6. Sorry, you guys finished third. It's a divisional thing. And then I got Chicago finishing last at 8-8.
All right. Well, I mean, that's a lot of wins for one division, though, too. If those records all hold up there, that'd be wild.
Toughest division in football, baby.
All right, man. Barney, what do you third place the Bears last year? So what do you have them doing this year?
Yeah. It's so funny. I mean, we're gonna be a team that is just. Our games are just going to be boring, I feel like. I think our defense is just going to be really, really good. Last year, we only had 7 games with teams that scored more than 20 points, and one game in which had 30 points. So, as long as our offense can do something, and all those defensive stands were pretty much without Akeem Hicks. So, I think with the addition of Robert Quinn, hopefully we have a little bit more 20-17 victories instead of losses like we did last year. But I'm optimistic. I think anywhere from 8-8 to 10-6 is doable. I'm gonna settle right in the middle at 9-7. I think Atlanta will be tough. Indianapolis and Tampa Bay in the first 5 weeks. Those will be some tough ones. New Orleans in week 8. Then you got at Green Bay at week 12 and at Minnesota in week 15. So those are some games that I think could get away from us. But other than that, I mean, there's Jacksonville, there's Tennessee, who's very good, but their power is running, in the trenches, and that's kind of up against what we do best in stopping the run. So that will come down to Tannehill. I think this schedule plays favorable for the Bears, but they got to score points, and that's not what they did last year. So I could see us going 9-7 and possibly better if we actually kick it into gear.
All right, is 9-7 going to be good enough to get in the playoffs?
I think 9-7 might get that 14th spot, right? That extra wild card,
right on the.
But yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, I'm hoping that we come out and win a couple more than that, but I'll settle for a winning season.
All right, and then just to wrap it up, so my Detroit Lions, I'm going to agree with Remy, and I'm going to have the Lions going 10-6 as well and making the playoffs. They do. They have a tough road game at Green Bay. I can't predict a win at Minnesota until they actually consistently win there. They've had a little more success at Lambeau in recent years. Thank God, after a 25-year losing streak there, they've righted the ship ever so slightly. It's going to be hard to win in Chicago, too. The Lions have struggled there under Matt Patricia so far without a win, although really close games. But... yeah, Atlanta on the road as well, and Tennessee on the road will be tough, and then Tampa Bay and New Orleans. But I have 10-6. I think that sounds right to me. I really like what they're doing with the running game and what they've done to build up their defense. So 10-6 sounds about right to me. The Lions played more games than anybody within a touchdown last year. Obviously, end up on the wrong side of that. I like a regression to the mean and getting some of those victories that they did not get last year, including getting screwed by the refs in Green Bay, which I'll try to bring up almost every episode I think that we've recorded this so far. Bitter to the end about that one, Kinger.
Welcome to my world. I'm getting screwed to the
Zay.
refs in Green Bay. That Dalvin Cook pass interference should not have been called.
Hey, but you know what? The Green Bay got screwed because Clay Matthews, that was a clean hit on that roughing the passer. What was that, 2 years ago?
That was 2 years ago. Yeah, I was actually at that game in Lambeau. Yeah, that was
the most unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Jair, intercepts the pass to seal the game. They get the bullshit Clay Matthews roughing the passer, who obviously became the repeated offender of the bullshit pass or roughing the passer calls. So, yeah, let's not talk about that, boys. You guys are just a little salty. You haven't had the success against the Packers that you'd like.
That was legitimately the first season in which I thought, hey, I think the refs might not realize which team is the Packers because they're usually 100% on their squad.
Mm-hmm.
But
come on now, we just aired the Deflate game. I mean, we just aired the Fail Mary game this week. Come on our squad. They put that game on national TV again this week. What the hell are they doing?
That's brutal. But actually, I wanna bring up. It seems like it's a pretty easy answer here for everybody, but the over/under win totals here. Detroit 6.5.
Over.
You like the over? Okay. Let's see. Minnesota's at 9. Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is a tough one. And my buddy, who is a Rams fan, was on me about this as well because I came out firing and told him 11 wins, and he immediately wanted that bet. So yeah, no, I'm confident. I'm taking the over.
All right, and then I think Green Bay is at 9 as well. Kinger?
Oh.
No, I'm taking the over on that for sure.
Yeah, I like that too. The Bears at 8 is such a hard one for me, just because I like to be a realist with how awful our defense is. I legitimately think we might have 3 or 4 games in which
Their
it's
offense, you mean, right?
Did I say defense?
Yeah.
Our offense is just trash. But I legitimately think there'll just be a handful of games that both teams, or maybe even just one team, surpasses 20 points. I think it's just going to be the most boring football, but hopefully we can win those football games. I'm going to go the over just to be a fan here, but it's a scary over/under total right there at 8.
Yeah, man. So we can get into that more, too, obviously, as we get closer to season, all these over and unders. But it's fun to talk about because we got nothing else to talk about at the moment, really. And I can't believe they have, like, week 2 and week 3 Lions on here, too. I don't even, you're just really grabbing at straws if you're, or a complete degenerate if you're betting on those already. I mean, I just don't know how anybody can put bets on them, but I guarantee you there's people out there that do it. But, man, so I think that is, going to wrap it up here. We're talking about the 2020 schedule coming out here. The NFL trying to throw us a bone, giving us something to talk about here as we head into the summer months. OTAs would normally be starting now, especially with the rookie mini camps, I think would be starting now, but they obviously cannot under the current circumstances. So who knows when we'll get all that. Any sort of football action here. But we'll try to come up with content for you going forward to keep you interested. But if you're listening, please subscribe to the podcast. You're now on Apple, but also on Spotify and anywhere else where you can find your podcast. We also post this on YouTube as well, so please subscribe there if that's your preferred method of listening. But please also leave us comments and reviews, especially a review on Apple. That really helps the cause. And gives us feedback so we know what you want to hear as well. And also leave comments on our Facebook page, The Pylon, and NFC North Podcast. You can find that on Facebook and join it for most up-to-date information. A lot of stuff. We're also on Instagram at The Pylon. So we're all over. We're trying to expand this out. We're trying to bring in the NFC North audience in here. So the more people you share this with, the better experiences for everybody listening, and we make this something really cool and interesting. But unless you guys have anything else more to add, I think that's going to wrap it up for us here on the Pylon, an NFC North podcast. Thank you, Barney, Kinger, Remy, and producer Kid J. We appreciate everything you do, Kid J, producing a podcast. So just stay alert to our social media feeds for new content coming out, and please share and subscribe. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is the Pylon, an NFC North podcast, and we'll see you soon.